Welcome friends, I am NK Thukral from Edupedia World. Students, in the previous session, I had started on private, public and global enterprises. Since private sector already we had discussed in the previous chapters, and in the previous session, I had started with the public sector enterprises. As since you know, the classification was done under 3 categories for public sector enterprises. Number 1, departmental undertaking, number 2, statutory corporation, and number 3, government company. I have already covered departmental undertaking, its features, merits and limitation, etc. Today I will be taking up statutory corporation and government company. Now students, let me brief you about statutory corporation. Statutory corporations are public enterprises brought into existence by a special act of parliament. The act defines its powers and functions, rules and regulations, governing its employees and its relationship with government departments. So now you understand that this type of corporation exists by a special act of parliament, and the same act defines all its powers and functions, rules and regulations. Further, this is a corporate body created by the legislature with defined powers and functions, and it is financially independent with a clear control over a specified area or a particular type of commercial activity. It is a corporate person and has the capacity of acting in its own name. It can sue also, and it can be sued also in its own name. Now, what exactly is statutory corporation? How you can define it? You can define it as the statutory corporation is a corporate body with a separate legal existence set up under a special act of parliament or of the state legislature. So I think it's very clear to you now what is statutory corporation and what is the concept of that. Now let us go ahead with features of statutory corporation. As you can see in the slide, certain features are there. Number 1 feature is formation. It is established under a special act of parliament, and act lays down the objects, powers and functions of the corporation. This is how it is formed. Second is ownership. Statutory corporation is wholly owned by the state government, and government has the power to appropriate its profits and also has to bear the losses if any. So profits are of statutory corporation fully, and it bears the losses also. Further, it can appropriate or transfer the profit or losses. Third feature is corporate existence. A statutory corporation is a body corporate which has a separate legal existence, as you can see in the definition. It is independent of the government. Further, it can sue also, it can be sued also, and it can enter into contracts and acquire property in its own name because it has a separate corporate existence independently. Next is financial autonomy. This type of enterprise is usually independently financed. It obtains funds by borrowing from the government or through revenues derived from the sale of goods and services to the public. So, fully financially powered company is a statutory corporation. Next feature is accounting and audit procedures. Statutory corporation is not subject to the government rules and regulations in the matter of accounting, budgeting and audit as applicable to the departmental undertaking. So what are the procedures on accounting and audit are applicable to departmental undertaking? It is not applicable to statutory corporation since it has own accounting and audit procedures. Next is staffing and terms of service. Terms of service related to the staff. The employees of these enterprises are not government or civil servants and are not governed by the government rules and regulations. However, at times some officers are taken from government departments on deputation for a specific period to head these organizations. So where availability is not there, the officers from other government companies can be taken on deputation. So these are the features of statutory corporation. Now students, let us discuss what are the advantages of statutory corporation or what benefits are with statutory corporations. Number one is operational flexibility. Since it is an autonomous body, the statutory corporation enjoys independence in their functioning and there is sufficient scope for flexibility and initiative. On their own, the statutory corporation can take any initiative for the expansion of the business or carrying on the business. They are free from undesirable government regulation and control. Second advantage is no interference. As earlier I said, it is an autonomous body. There is no interference from the government even. As funds of these organizations do not come from the central budget, so we can say it is free from interference of the government in day-to-day working. Third advantage is autonomous setup. As these enterprises are autonomous organizations, they frame their own policies and procedures within the powers assigned to them by the Act. Whatever the Act gives them the power, the policies and procedures are framed by head of the statutory corporation. Next advantage is facilitate economic growth. Since such enterprises contributes to the economic development as they have the powers of the government along with the initiative of private enterprises. So economic growth, for betterment of economic growth, statutory corporation is a better option. Now students, having advantages of statutory corporation, let us see what are the limitations of statutory corporation. First limitation is government interference. The working of public corporation is subject to interference from the bureaucrats and politicians, especially in case of major decisions or where huge funds are involved. Since the filing culture is there, bureaucrats and politicians, they have always the difference of opinions, so their interference is always there in such type of organizations. Normally we say it is autonomous body, no interference, but practically interference is there. Second limitation is theoretical autonomy. As we had discussed on merits that the statutory corporation has an autonomy in taking the decisions and deciding on the business's setup, but it is in theory. I mean to say, in practical something different. The autonomy and flexibility of such enterprises exist on paper only, I can say. In reality, a statutory corporation is subject to many rules and regulations and does not enjoy as much operational flexibility as it should have. Next is undesirable practices. In statutory corporations, officials may misuse their autonomy and indulge in unfair practices like corruption. As you can see, you must have heard everywhere corruption is there. So such type of organization, bureaucrats or politicians, always there is a chances of corruption. Next is delay in action. Government often appoints advisors to the corporation board. It adversely affects the freedom in entering into contracts and other decisions. In case of any disagreement, the matter is referred to the government, which further delays action. So possibility of delay in action is always there since interference is there and the procedures are such long and where huge funds are required. The policy setup, the things are going to the government and they take further time to decide, and which results to delay in action. Now students, after discussing statutory corporations, let us go ahead. What is government company? Another form of public sector. What is government company? Let me brief you that a government company is established under the Companies Act 2013. or any previous company law. Earlier Companies Act 1956, now it is replaced with the 2013. So we can say that it is established under the Companies Act 2013. It is registered and governed by the provisions of the Companies Act. It is established for the purpose of running an industrial or commercial undertaking. The examples are, you can see in the slide, Indian Oil or NTPC or BHEL or Steel Authority of India Limited. These are all coming under the category of government company. So what is government company? What exactly, how you can define the government company? According to Companies Act 2013, a government company means any company in which not less than 51% of the paid up share capital is held by the central government or by any state government, or partly by central government and partly by one or more state government. This is the way you can define the government company. Means not less than 51% of the paid up capital is held by the government. From the above definition, it is clear that the government exercises control over the paid up share capital of the company. The shares of the company are purchased in the name of President of India. Since the government is a major shareholder and exercises control over the management of these companies, they are known as government companies. I think it's very clear now what is government company. Now let us go ahead. What are the features of the government company? You can see in the slide. Number one feature is incorporation. How the company is formed, how it's incorporated. The government company is registered under the Companies Act 2013, as earlier I said, or any previous company law. It is formed by an executive rather than a legislative decision. So mind it, it is formed by an executive rather than a legislative decision, unlike statutory corporation. Next feature is separate legal entity. It has a separate legal existence independent of the government. The company can enter into contract, acquire property, can file a suit and can be sued by the third party. Third feature is management. It is managed by a board of directors nominated by the government. Again I am repeating, directors are nominated by the government only. The management is regulated by the provisions of the Companies Act like any other public limited company. Whatever the rules applicable to public limited company, same are applicable to this type of government company. Next is management. Government company. This type of company is managed by board of directors nominated by the government, as earlier I said. Next is accounting and audit. It is free from budgetary, accounting and audit controls applied to departmental undertakings. However, an annual report is to be presented to the Parliament or the state legislature by the auditor appointed by the central government. Next feature is finance. As you can see in the definition, at least 51% of the capital of the company is contributed by the state or central government, while the rest can be raised from the capital market like a public company. Next is governed by memorandum and articles of association. Another feature is the memorandum and articles of association are the main document of the company containing the objects of the company and rules and regulations relating to the appointment of employees of the company. So all these are given in this main charter of the company. So these are the features of government company. Now students, let's see what are the advantages of this type of government company. What are the merits of government company? Number one merit is easy formation. There is no need for separate legislation of the Parliament for its formation. It can be established by fulfilling requirement of Indian Companies Act. Second is operational autonomy. This type of government company enjoys autonomy in all management decisions and take decisions according to business prudence. So it is free from bureaucratic control and political interference like a statutory corporation. Next is independent status. It has a separate legal entity apart from the government, so it carries on business activities like any other private company. Next merit is prevent unhealthy business practices. These companies provide good quality products at reasonable prices and competitive prices to the public limited companies. So it helps to control the market and reduce unhealthy business practices. This is the best advantage for the economy of the company also, for the public also. Now let us see what are the limitations of government company. Number one limitation is freedom by name only. Again, in the statutory corporation we had discussed autonomy was given but interference. So here also, since 51% of the capital is held by the government company and directors are nominated by the government, so freedom only in name we can say. As government is a majority shareholder, earlier I said, it exercises control over affairs of the company also, and provisions of the Company Act does not have much relevance. Next is lack of accountability. As it is financed by the government, it should be accountable to government. However, it is not answerable directly to the parliament due to ineffective government control. This is a limitation. Next is defeat of the main purpose. Being a major shareholder, the government controls the whole management and administration of the company. It defeats the main purpose of registering it under the Companies Act. This Companies Act, so many rules, accountability, etc. are given. Same are applicable to this government company, but practically it is not so. It defeats the main purpose. So that's all today. Bye bye. Thank you.